LAFCO meeting to order Wednesday, January 23rd, 2019. We'll do Pledge of Allegiance first. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have introduction of commissioners and staff.
Jim DeMartini, county member.
Mike Van Winkle, city member.
Richard O'Brien, alternate city member.
Guido Chiesa, alternate county member.
Brad Hahn, alternate public member.
Javier Camarena, assistant EO.
Sarah Lytle-Penny, executive officer.
Rob Terrell, LAFCO counsel.
Jennifer Goss, commission clerk.
Okay. As item 2, public comment. Do we have anybody that would like to comment on anything that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 3, approval of minutes. Everybody have a minute to look at it, and we'll take a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, correspondence.
Yes, you have an additional piece of informational correspondence on the dais tonight. It's a letter from LAFCO staff to the city of Patterson regarding an upcoming project. They're just in the initial stages right now. The notice of preparation went out for their environmental impact report, so we don't anticipate seeing the project anytime soon, but this is a kind of a heads up, just an informational piece for you to give a preview of what's coming down the road. Okay.
Moving on to item 5, anybody want to declare a conflict of interest or disqualification? No? We have one consent item, number 6. Item 6 is the consent mid-year budget report for fiscal year. Motion for consent?
Move to approve.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, public hearing. LAFCO application number 2018-08 and SOI number 1808, Keys 19 North and South reorganization to the Keys Community Service District.
Good evening, Javier Camarena with LAFCO. As Chairman Van Winkle mentioned, the item we are hearing tonight is LAFCO application 2018-08 and Sphere of Influence Amendment 2018-08, Keys 19 North and South reorganization. It's an annexation to both the Keys Community Service District and County Service Area 26. The proposal, as mentioned, is an annexation of 2 residential subdivisions totaling 19 acres to the Keys CSD for sewer and water service, and to CSA 26 to provide storm drainage, park facilities, and a block wall and landscaping. The project site is located in the Keys area. The North area subdivision is located north of Norma Way and west of Tanya Way. You can see here on the map. The south site is located on the south side of Norma Way and west of Washington Road. The proposed annexations will serve the Keys 19 subdivision, which was approved in October of 2016 by Stanislaus County. As part of the approved subdivision, Stanislaus County required annexation into both the Keys CSD and CSA 26 for services through LAFCO. Provide you a little bit of background on the project. In December of 2016, LAFCO approved application number 2016-05, Keys 19 North and South, which was an annexation into the Keys CSD. After it was approved, there was a change in ownership of the property, and as a result, the required fees that were due for State Board of Equalization and staff fees were not paid. Therefore, the approval that they had received had expired and therefore was not recorded. So the new applicant, the new owner wanted to reapply for the Keys CSD annexation. This happened earlier in 2018, and because the subdivision is required to annex both into the CSD and into CSA 26, the two applications were combined into one reorganization application. In accordance with Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act, the Commission must consider several factors when evaluating a reorganization. Some of the factors evaluated include population, growth, local plans and policies, impacts to agriculture, and services. And a discussion of these factors can be found on pages 2 through 5 in the staff report. Also, in order to keep the boundaries of the sphere of influence and CSA coterminous, a sphere of influence modification is also required. Now, typically, a municipal service review is required when amending a sphere of influence. However, LAFCO policies do allow for minor modifications when a previous service review has been conducted. A service review for all CSAs was conducted by staff and was approved in February of 2016. And because the modification is considered minor, a revised municipal service review is not required. LAFCO must also make several determinations related to present and planned services and facilities resulting from a sphere amendment, and these determinations, a discussion on these determinations can be found on page 6 of the staff report. So just to summarize the project, the Key CSD and CSA 26 are able to provide services to the two subdivisions. The site is surrounded by similar low-density residential development and is considered infill. Services provided by the CSD will be financed through a collection of sewer and water charges, and the CSA will be financed through annual assessments. Staff believes the proposed reorganization is consistent with the required factors, determinations, and policies present in the CKH Act and in LAFCO policies. Pursuant to Government Code, the Commission may waive the protest proceedings if the following 3 items apply. 1, the territory is uninhabited, which in this case it is. All owners of the affected territory have given written consent, which they have, and no agency has opposed a waiver of protest, which they have not. So all conditions have been met, and the Commission may waive the protest proceedings. As part of its approval, and as lead agency, the county adopted a mitigated negative declaration for purposes of CEQA. Therefore, the Commission does not have any further obligations under CEQA for environmental review. Staff's recommendation can be found on page 7 of the staff report, which includes approval of the reorganization, approval of the sphere of influence modification, and approval to waive the protest proceedings. That concludes my presentation, and staff is available for questions.
Any questions before I open this up for public comment?
I just want to ask, and I know I met with Coy, who's in charge of this project, but the piece that's cut out of the CSA, is that a drainage basin? Why it's not contiguous? I thought that they were doing a drainage basin on site, but it's with a neighbor maybe? I'm just trying to remind myself.
Are you referring to the north or the south? Is it on the north?
Let me pull up
The cutout right here.
Oh, that guy.
It's not contiguous, because it is a contiguous piece, but I can't remember. There was a reason for it, but still the case, and I'm surprised that Coy's not here. Is anyone surprised the applicant's not standing here?
CSD. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to take a look at the approved
All right.
parcel
It's
map
not-
too.
I know they were trying to do something that took an agreement, but I don't remember if someone was going to utilize their basin or vice versa. And is that an issue that LAFCO would have been involved in, or is that a county required mitigation?
It'll end up being a county required,
CSA.
part of their subdivision, but I think that had to do with the southerly I know on the southerly section, they've got a subdivision approved on the west side, and they were looking at either doing their own drainage or a shared
Okay.
basin. I think that property on the north side is just an owner that did not want to be involved in
Okay.
the subdivision.
Okay.
I have a quick one.
Okay.
There's significant stormwater maintenance and facilities here. How do they get paid for the stormwater? It's not sewer.
Right, so
So I'm just trying to develop my own plan. I just
Yeah.
trying to steal ideas.
that's one of the reasons why they have the county service area out there is they're making the subdivisions and Keys, the majority of Keys actually is paying an assessment towards storm drainage, so they're handling it on site in the subdivisions, and I think there's a county drainage basin out there as well. You might have somebody that can answer that in the audience. But they're all paying a share of that as a storm drainage assessment.
So does this shift as a shift's responsibility?
Well, right,
The assessments, does that shift?
oh, you mean would it be applied to all the future
Yes.
parcels? Correct, yes, it would. Yeah.
Good idea. I think
Yeah.
I'll take
And at this point, too, we consider that there's technically 100% consent. Like the one property owner, maybe on the one large parcel, is approving really the assessment for everyone that comes after him.
Thank you.
So to kind of piggyback on his, the stormwater is collected in basins then? Is that how it's being
Right,
taken care
I
of?
believe the county has a larger basin that they own for the rest of the Keys area, but these subdivisions are either handling it themselves or contributing to the overall regional basin.
If I remember right, so they did a redevelopment on downtown when they put in drainage throughout downtown, but it was redevelopment money. And then they went over to the park and made a large park. We ended up in a lawsuit over that. But then it pumps out into if it gets too full, if it doesn't percolate in, it can get pumped into the canal, the Turlock Irrigation District. These are going to be required, I'm pretty sure, on site. That's why I remember having the conversation, they were going to put a drainage basin in between two of the property owners. And or buy-in, so it made sense, but they're trying to deal with it, because that's, hopefully in the Sigma, these are the things that will help us, help be beneficial, I guess, to an area.
It's fairly common, too. We just saw one at one of our previous meetings for Denair. It was the same thing. They had two new subdivisions, and they were both handling them on-site with CSAs for the funding mechanism.
Any other questions before it opens up for public comment? Nope. We'll go ahead and open this up for public comment then. Anybody want to speak on this item? Seeing none, we will close public hearing. And if no other questions or comments, we'll take a motion.
Yeah, it does. I'll move that we accept CSA, the item 7A.
Second?
Is this option one, or? We have three options, so I assume it's option one.
It is option 1.
Okay.
Motion for option 1, just for clarification.
Motion to approve 7A, option 1.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, other business. We have two items. First item is initiation of dissolution proceedings for inactive reclamation districts numbers 1602, 2031, and 2101.
Yes, so this is a rather unique and new process for LAFCO involving what are being defined as inactive districts. So there was a state law, it's described here in your report, that was passed recently, Senate Bill 448, where the state controller can identify inactive districts and essentially notify LAFCO and force LAFCO to dissolve these districts, taking them off the books if they meet a certain list of criteria. So we do have a required time frame. The first of the time frames is within 90 days of notification from the state controller that we initiate dissolution, which is tonight's action. Then we have an additional 90 days to hold a public hearing to complete the process. So in the meantime, staff has done some research. There's 3 districts that the state controller identified listed here, reclamation districts 1602, 2031, and 2101. We did some research on the history of when they were formed. These districts are so old and have been inactive for so long that they actually were not on our own listing of districts. They do not have spheres of influence that were adopted. We do not have any evidence of them having a board in the last, I don't know how many decades, or functioning as a special district. So what the state has determined is if you have districts that are still on their books as well, that are not functioning as a special district, that they should be dissolved. So this action tonight just initiates the proceedings. What staff is doing in the background is we've reached out to kind of the last known contacts for these districts and the property owners, the underlying property owners, and also some other state agencies to kind of look at first verifying that they do meet the inactive definition, but also looking a little bit about the impacts of what's going to happen when this district disappears, which in this case, probably little difference than what's going on right now currently. So the action tonight, there is very little, if any, discretion by the commission. This would fulfill and be in compliance with the new state law to at least initiate the dissolution process. The recommendation from staff is to go ahead and adopt Resolution 2019-02, and we're available for questions.
Is there questions?
I have a question, and since I probably won't be sitting here at the next meeting or the meeting after when you report this back, I think it's very important you're trying to contact. It's very important that you contact, that you make live contacts with these people if, for some reason, if they need a reclamation district, if they have levies or something else, that they're the ones that opt out. They know that this process, and I don't know how long the process takes, if it takes 3 months or 6 months or a year, but it makes sense why you talk to live bodies and make sure they don't want it.
Right.
Any other questions or comments? Take a motion for Resolution 2019-02 then.
Motion to approve?
We have a first.
Second.
First and second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, annual election of officers. Staff recommendation, appoint a chairperson and vice chairperson and adopt Resolution 2019-01 and 2019-01B.
Yes, we have these as separate resolutions in case you want separate motions. But the recommendation to keep going with our sequence is that the chairperson would be a city member and vice chairperson would be a county member. You get to choose. So eligible right now for the chairperson would be either Amy Bublack or Vice Chair Van Winkle, depending on.
Yeah.
So shouldn't you be the chair? Shouldn't that be me?
Yeah, the vice chair generally becomes the chairman. You can be chairman for life if you like.
And Jim, between you and Terry, who is?
Terry was the chairman just a couple of years ago.
Okay, so if I make a motion, I hate doing this, but Mayor Van Winkle or Member Van Winkle, Vice Chairman Van Winkle is the chairperson, and Supervisor DeMartini is Vice Chair.
Okay, we have a first and second.
No debate on it. Wait a second.
We have a first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner comments. Mr. Member DeMartini.
I'm just happy as can be there. I would like an update on that mobile home park when our executive director gets around to that. Otherwise, I'm fine with everything else.
Okay. Member O'Brien. Member Chiesa.
Okay, and I don't know, this probably just went through LAFCO, but out-of-boundary service agreement to Monterey Park. I think Ceres has been put in a untenable situation. I don't know if this is the right audience, but they did Monterey Park a favor. I know that we went through this, and it seemed like the governor, in trying to do something that I think was right, trying to bring water quality issues up. It was the wrong place because Ceres actually has fulfilled their obligation. I think they're unduly persecuted. I don't know what the right word is. It's not the right word. Anyway, I want to say that, and we need to try and deal with that. Supervisor DeMartini, I know you worked hard on it, but
Yeah, well, that project went on for a couple of years. There was a couple of $1 million spent, and the water quality in Monterey Park Track is the same as the city of Ceres. It's piped directly down to them. So I don't know, there was a lot of misinformation on that, and and part of it was something in the water that Ceres had too. They notified Monterey Park Track. It was way under the standards there, and the district did not notify the residents. So it was,
That was on 123 TCP, and the state just changed the percent that you could have per unit of water. I think it's 1 part per trillion now, and if you exceed that, then you become in violation. It was 1 part per billion, and there is a big significant difference between the two. And so, yes, there is 123 TCP in the Central Valley if it, in a well because of the phosphates and other chemicals used to fertilize. But we have to be reasonable about what can or cannot be filtered out or treated out. And I think that is a fight above LAFCO's pay grade. And I believe that that's something that we have to go to the Water Control Board, not the Water Control Board, but ECS, whatever the toxic board is. But that's, I think, as a group, not as LAFCO.
and I'd like to, I just want to point out that Ceres has done everything, their obligation, they met their obligation, and they've been unfairly
Put on the
bad light.
microscope.
Yeah, and it's, so this, you're right, absolutely right, this isn't the right place, but I felt the need.
No, I,
Member Hahn, any comment?
No.
Okay. I have no additional matters of, for item 10. Executive officers report.
Yep. I have a few things to follow up with you on. For those that were here at our last meeting, we had approved an out-of-boundary service agreement or request from the city of Modesto to serve sewer service to the Modesto Mobile Home Park, which the commission recognized was an island and recommended that the applicant apply to the city for annexation. And we crafted a condition at the meeting that we would approve the out-of-boundary conditioned upon the applicant paying fees and submitting an application to Modesto. That application and the fees were submitted and paid to Modesto, and I'm especially thankful for Modesto staff in dealing with that very quickly after our meeting. In fact, we were able to pull together LAFCO staff, city staff from various departments and the applicant to make sure that that application got submitted. So it is going through the process with the city. I don't know when it'll get to LAFCO, but they already have it scheduled for their planning commission, so hopefully that goes smoothly.
the update you're looking for.
Another,
staff did more of the work than the applicant.
there was a lot of time spent, I will say, but hopefully it'll get us to where we all want to be. The other update I wanted to give was regarding the request that we had from Keith Schneider regarding the ag policy amendment. I did some outreach already to the California Farmland Trust and also the planning directors in the 9 cities in the county, just as an early informative outreach, because this would be a modification to the ag policy. I want them to be aware of it when it comes time for us to actually send the referral out, so we don't stir up too much controversy regarding what is essentially a technical amendment. So we'll be sending that out soon, along with a notice of public hearing for comment. We are also coordinating with the California Special Districts Association. I had mentioned this probably a few months back. What we were attempting to do is get the California Special Districts Association to come out and do a special districts governance training for free, which we're getting that. It's going to happen in June. We're just working out some of the final details, and we'll end up doing some outreach and probably calling up certain districts that need it more than others to get them to come to the free training. We do have quite a few applications in the works. some incomplete applications as well that we're working on. One is from Eastside Water District. We have another annexation application from the Keys Community Service District, and we're also expecting an application from the City of Ceres for the Whitmore Ranch specific plan. At this point, we are recommending canceling February's meeting. It's always difficult for applicants to meet the noticing requirements for February just based on the way it lands with the holidays. So we will be bringing back some of those items and hopefully the ag policy at our March meeting.
Okay. Any other comments?
That's all.
Okay, with that, we'll motion adjourn.
Second.
First and second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.